Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business-to-business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank number 1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's about the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I'm Seth. Today I am here with Shawnnah Monterrey of BeanStock Ventures, a San Diego-based company in the medical device field, right? Or from all my research. You're in the medical device field, but you also help other companies improve their devices. Am I correct in that?
We do. We provide professional services for medical devices. So we primarily started out as a software product development for medical devices. And then we later, actually quite recently, we accredited by the FDA.
Oh,
so
wow.
1 in 9 companies. Yeah. So what that means is we can review and approve select class 2 devices on behalf of the FDA. So shorten that line for you. Mm-hmm.
Look at you. that's so wait, so you can classify things for the FDA.
Yes.
Oh, that's
So
wild.
So instead of submitting to the FDA, you'd submit to us. We provide a recommendation to the FDA. FDA guarantees a 30-day turnaround time.
Ooh.
It's significantly faster.
So go to Shawnnah. Don't go to the FDA.
Come to us, please.
But exactly. I mean, because you think about, the FDA. I mean, it's government, it's bureaucracy, it's lots of paper. So I'm sure, is it less paper, or is it just easier to go through you guys because you guys have the bandwidth versus the FDA that has to deal with everybody's baloney?
It's still lots and lots of paper.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, actually, when you think about it, you want it to be lots of paper because it is the FDA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you want you don't want everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So the requirements are still the same, but instead of waiting in line, because FDA has a backlog, right? So instead of waiting in line for the backlog, you can go direct through us.
That's really cool. And to think that we connected via LinkedIn.
I know.
I met someone through LinkedIn that can do stuff for the FDA. Wow, you can actually streamline government. That is shocking. Hey, they're smart. That's a great thing to do. So you've been doing this since 2018. And
yes.
You also, in addition to that, you also have a venture fund of sorts in there too, where you help fund things. Am I right in that?
Yeah, that was the original plan of the business. So the business pivoted quite a bit. So it doesn't do that anymore. So the name BeanStock Ventures, originally what we wanted to do is incubate viable medical device technologies. That was the original plan. So we did invest originally.
Okay.
And then COVID hit. And then everyone is doing something probably very different post-COVID now. Right?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much pivoting there's been versus people actually like saying, screw it, I'm going back into the workforce. A lot of the entrepreneurs I've talked to have said they may have had to pivot, but it made them more determined to be in control of their destiny.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the workforce.
I don't blame you. I've been doing this for 14 years, my digital marketing agency, and I definitely don't want to. I tried working for the man or the person, and oh my god, there's a certain person I feel like that it's really good at working in house. It's not me.
I've come to learn that about myself as well.
Hey, that's half the battle. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Hey there, it's Jason Falls. If your company or maybe one of your clients sells to marketers, you look for advertising channels that guarantee business marketers are paying attention, right? Let me introduce you to the Marketing Podcast Network. You're listening to it right now. It's a network of podcasts all about marketing. So 100% of MPN's audience are marketers. Reach them by advertising on the Marketing Podcast Network. Learn more and find our media kit at marketingpodcasts.net.
So what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur in your mind?
The best thing I would say is the ability to execute on your ideas. You don't need approval, right? So when I wanted to pivot, I shared with my team. I think someone said no, and then I said, too bad.
I love it.
And we did it anyway, right? It was the FDA accreditation. I got feedback like, I don't think we're qualified. This is a lot of rigor. And I said, it's opened up. We meet the minimum requirements on the website.
Wow.
Let's give it a shot.
And you got it, which is fantastic. It's just so cool to see a pivot that's been so successful. You're based down in San Diego. You've also been an educator too, I see.
Yes, I did some teaching, some engineering classes. So I did an engineering class, just basic engineering, computer programming for engineers, for non-computer science engineers. And then I did a kind of a, I don't know if it's call it a capstone course, but it was a course to help systems engineers position themselves getting into industry. So it was a lot on resume building, presentation skills. It was an engineering course, but yeah.
You'd be surprised. A lot of these people are so book smart and they're so good at what they do, but you'd be surprised at how they are not ready to get their resume together. It's just not their wheelhouse.
Resume, LinkedIn profile, interviewing skills, even understanding what options are out there for them as a career. That was the funnest part, is exploring and saying, okay, now you have this degree, you're going to graduate. What can we do with it?
Oh, it's fantastic. Because I know a lot of people come out of school and they're like, okay, I have an engineering degree, which is a pretty broad degree when you think about it. Like, it's almost as broad as my history degree. I was like, what the hell am I going to do with history? I had fun in college studying history. What am I going to do with it? Well, I became a journalist for 6 years, which was fun. But, it took me about, I'd say 6 months to figure out where I was going. Thank you for helping people figure that out. Because I can only imagine you come out as an engineer and you can really, the world's your oyster. I mean, you can do anything with that. So what's your background? You went to school for computer science.
Yeah, I started as a biomedical engineer and then didn't make it. So I switched and I became a computer scientist or a software engineer. And my first job was working on medical devices. So I ended up being a biomedical engineer, which is quite interesting.
That's wild. So you ended up not majoring in it, but still that's kind of cool. You weren't around. That's really neat. You got to do what you wanted to do, but how you wanted to do it. That's very cool. I like that. So very free thinker here.
Yeah, there's different pathways to get you to the same destination.
That's awesome. So, all right, being an entrepreneur, you've been out, you're doing trying to incubate startups in the medical device field. COVID hits. And everyone's like, what the heck do we do now? People are going for toilet paper. Like, you couldn't find toilet paper for the longest time. It turns out it wasn't that kind of bug. But everyone's like, toilet paper, that kind of makes sense. We're going to go get toilet paper. No, you didn't need the toilet paper. Now people have stockpiles of toilet paper, and they're like, all right, you don't have to go to Target anymore. What is the scariest thing about being an entrepreneur?
Before COVID, it was very early on, right? So I had been already an entrepreneur for a couple of years. So I think for me, the scariest thing was branding myself.
Oh, yeah.
Getting exposure and like being able to separate myself or my identity from the business.
That's
because the business is you. So that is a challenge. And I'm an introvert. So I had to get out there and speak and brand myself. And so now if you look me up, I'm all over the place. So I'm pretty comfortable now doing that. So
That's
that was
good.
Yeah. During COVID, it was really figuring out what we were going to do. So I've got a lot of good advice, bad advice. I don't know. advice that kind of flip a coin advice. Like
Yeah, I
I
like
could have
flip a
gone
coin advice.
any way. Yeah, so a lot of things were changing. Like they had the AB5 law. I had a bunch of consultants working for me at the time. I didn't have many
Oh, yeah,
full-time
because you're in
employees.
California. Yeah, you get the Uber law that kind of backfired on everyone besides Uber.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So
was
then
such
I
a
had to
rotten
figure
law.
out how I was going to scale my business with consultants that were now no longer allowed. So
Oh my
then,
God.
yeah,
So you didn't
yeah,
just have COVID to deal with; you had to deal with more bureaucracy.
yes, on
Oy.
top of that. And so
Oh,
I had decent retained earnings. I had some cash in the bank. And
well,
then
that's
one of
good.
the recommendations was like, just shut down.
Really? To shut down?
Yeah, and not necessarily shut down, just kind of hold off, just wait it out because we're
Yeah.
in the medical device industry. So there wasn't a lot of projects or
Hmm.
available work during that time. So I
But
decided not to.
you decided to say that was the bad advice. We're not going to listen to that.
Yeah, so I didn't listen to that.
Good. And then you pivoted. Now you're one of what you said 9 companies that can approve stuff for the FDA.
Yeah,
That's
we're 1 in
wild.
9, and we have other products as well. So now we're not just a service provider. We actually have products that help, like an all-in-one do-it-yourself kit that allows startups to do their own submission.
Oh
Granted, they'll still
wow.
need support, but at
Yeah.
least they get all the documents and templates and training that they need to try to do it themselves,
And then they're
just
like,
to reduce
Shawnnah, we need
costs.
help.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, that's what will happen.
Eventually, their eyes gloss over with anything that's government related. Your eyes gloss over after a while. So,
Yeah, it's complicated and it
oh,
doesn't have to be. It's just so navigating through all the different regulations and
hmm,
guidances. They're, sometimes they're contradictory. They're not aligned. One refers to another, which refers to another, which refers to the other.
oh,
So it's really
geez,
about understanding like the harmonization and the consistency between them on what you really need to provide
oh my,
and not overdoing it.
yeah, it's kind of
So
funny because anyone can file a patent, anyone can file a trademark, like anyone can petition the FDA, but it's not exactly the wisest thing to do.
yeah, exactly. Even with a patent, right? Like they say you can do it, but you can do your own.
I did my own
Yeah.
LLC, and to this day, I'm still wondering, did I do it right? I think I did because it's been 15 years and nothing's blown up.
You're probably okay.
I'm
Yeah, you're probably
probably okay
okay.
at this point, but definitely. So, Shawnnah, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
I think my integrity.
Oh, that's a
But
good
you
one.
have to make tough decisions a lot of times. And sometimes it could be a flip of the coin. And then what do you have to
Hmm.
balance that? Business is interesting.
Oh,
I've been challenged quite a bit on that side. And I have to go back to that, the fundamental to make the right decision. It's not
yeah.
always the easiest decision,
Oh, it's never.
but I think going back to that has been really important.
I love that answer. That's probably one of the best answers I've heard to that question. So, good job. If you don't have integrity, you have nothing.
Yeah, exactly. All the money in the world doesn't matter.
So true. So, Shawnnah, where's your watering hole online? Like, where can people connect with you?
LinkedIn. You can
Hmm.
find me on LinkedIn very easily.
And so people can find out more about BeanStock Ventures at beanstockventures.com, correct?
Yes, they can go there. Now, then we're pretty responsive.
You are very responsive. Yes, absolutely. I can vouch for that. So, Shawnnah, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll see everyone next week. That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Matt Bailey hosts a fantastic podcast called The Endless Coffee Cup. Matt, tell these fine folks what they'll get when they listen.
At Endless Coffee Cup, we go beyond the headlines with a regular discussion of marketing news, media, and culture about our complex digital lifestyle. Of course, with my emphasis on education, I have great guests from all over the world that share their stories, giving listeners unique insights into their experiences and expertise.
Sounds super useful. Where can people subscribe?
They can go to my website at sitelogic.com or find the show at marketingpodcast.net. Or hey, we're everywhere, wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard him. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.